Hey y'all, welcome back to the channel. To be honest, I didn't even plan to script this video at all. We're just going off of vibes today because this video is an update about the entire Patti LuPone drama with Kecia Lewis and Audra McDonald. Now, if you haven't watched my previous video where I explain the entire drama that's been going on these past couple of days, make sure you go watch it and then come back here and watch this one. But basically the entire drama is that a New Yorker article was published about Patti LuPone where she called Kecia Lewis a expletive and also said that she wasn't a Broadway vet, and then said that Audra McDonald was not a friend when McDonald supported Lewis on a whole debacle between Lewis and LuPone regarding the sound team at Hell's Kitchen. So within the coming days after this New Yorker article was published, there seemed to be a lot of support for Lewis and McDonald and a lot of calls to Patti LuPone to issue an apology. There was also a lot of talk about how her behavior has been allowed in the theater community at all, given that she is the Broadway diva, and how unsurprising this recent behavior is. So Patti LuPone did issue an apology. However, before we get into that, I want to read Audra McDonald's response to this drama because the Queen has spoken, so we must listen. So initially, Audra McDonald was doing a CBS interview marking her 11th Tony nomination for her role as Mama Rose in Gypsy. And during the interview, she was asked to give a response about the entire scandal, to which she responded by saying, "I haven't seen her in about 11 years just because we've been busy, just with life and stuff. So I don't know what rift she's talking about, but you'd have to ask her."
Patti LuPone says about you, Audra is not a friend. Were you surprised to hear that said about you from her?
I mean, I don't, if there's a rift between us, I don't know what it is. That's something that you'd have to ask Patti about.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I haven't seen her in about 11 years just because I've been busy just with life and stuff. So I don't know what rift she's talking about, but you'd have to ask her.
So basically, Audra responded being like, "I don't know what she's talking about. Can we start talking about my 11th Tony nomination, please?" Which, yes, Queen. Before we get to LuPone's apology, we also need to discuss about the open letter. Over 500 Broadway artists supported the release of an open letter reprimanding Patti LuPone for the words she said in the New Yorker article. 500. In the open letter, the community addresses the words that LuPone used to describe Lewis in the New Yorker article and said they are, quote, "not only degrading and misogynistic, but a blatant act of racialized disrespect." We've seen what happens when abusive behavior is finally brought to light. Scott Rudin and Walter Bobby both faced public backlash, professional consequences, and ostracization after repeated reports of mistreatment and misconduct. These moments proved that the theater community can act when it chooses to, but accountability should not be the exception. It must be the rule. For those of you who don't know those names, Scott Rudin is an American film and stage producer who in 2021 was accused of workplace harassment, where numerous employees were reporting that he was physically abusive to his employees. This resulted in a couple of prominent Broadway actors taking a stand against Rudin. For example, Karen Olivo refused to return as Satine in Moulin Rouge back in 2021 as a form of protest against the industry's silence toward these allegations. Sutton Foster also threatened to leave Rudin's own revival of The Music Man starring Hugh Jackman if he did not step down. Walter Bobby is an American theater director and choreographer. He faced allegations of bullying in 2018 after a member of his cast in Chicago took their own life. The open letter then states a call to action, asking both the American Theater Wing and the Broadway League to take immediate action, not only in response to Patti LuPone's comments, but in establishing a broader standard of accountability moving forward. Individuals, including Patti LuPone, who use their platform to publicly demean, harass, or disparage fellow artists, particularly with racial, gendered, or otherwise violent language, should not be welcomed at industry events, including the Tony Awards, fundraisers, and public programs. Participation, recognition, and attendance at high-profile events must be contingent on conduct that reflects community values. This includes completion of comprehensive anti-bias or restorative justice programs before re-entry into public-facing spaces. Theater institutions must adopt and enforce clear, transparent policies for addressing harmful behavior, regardless of an individual's fame or tenure in the industry. Basically, they are calling on the American Theater Wing and the Broadway League to bar Patti LuPone from attending any recognized events because of her behavior, including the Tony Awards. The open letter closes saying this: "Let us move forward together, not in silence or avoidance, but with courage and clarity, so that our community can truly succeed and thrive without inflicting violence or harm." So shortly after that came out, LuPone issued an apology on her Instagram, and we're going to take a look at that right now. "For as long as I have worked in the theater, I have spoken my mind and never apologized. That is changing today. I am deeply sorry for the words I used during the New Yorker interview, particularly about Kecia Lewis, which were demeaning and disrespectful. I regret my flippant and emotional responses during this interview, which were inappropriate, and I am devastated that my behavior has offended others and has run counter to what we hold dear in this community. I hope to have the chance to speak to Audra and Kecia personally to offer my sincere apologies. I wholeheartedly agree with everything that was written in the open letter shared yesterday. From middle school drama clubs to professional stages, theater has always been about lifting each other up and welcoming those who feel they don't belong anywhere else. I made a mistake, I take full responsibility for it, and I am committed to making this right. Our entire theater community deserves better. Patti LuPone." The apology was met with mixed reviews. On one hand, there seems to be a lot of support for LuPone's apology, including replies by both Andrew Reynolds and Kristen Chenoweth. On the other hand, there are some people saying that the apology was only given because she faced a ton of backlash for the New Yorker article and that they want to see action. Which leaves me with my thoughts. What do I think about the apology? I don't know, it's not my apology. I feel like the only people who should be giving a public opinion on this response are Audra McDonald and Kecia Lewis. No one else, really. If I were to give my thoughts on the apology from a PR perspective, I'd say that the apology was well written. First of all, she writes right there that she is sorry for the words that she used, saying, "I'm deeply sorry for the words I used during the New Yorker article." She also attempts to push the publicity back, saying that she hopes that she can personally meet Lewis and McDonald and apologize to them in private, one-on-one. And finally, she kind of wraps it all up by explaining that she knows why she's wrong, saying that the theater community is supposed to be a place where everyone belongs and everyone lifts up everyone else. But those are my thoughts. Tell me what you think. Have you read the open letter? Do you think Patti LuPone should be barred from the Tony Awards? Let me know down in the comments below, and make sure to watch my first video explaining all of this drama. That's all for today, and I'll see you in the next video.